Good morning, everyone. Brian here with BMK Retro Gaming. This morning I have the review for us of the Atari VCS 2600 homebrew game, Shark. Now, it was developed by Bob Montgomery, homebrew developer, and published by Atari Age in 2005, with Tommy Montgomery doing music, and there was a contest to pick the artwork that would go on the cartridge and the manual, which is what comes with it, which was won by Renato Brito. That's Renatobrito. Anyway, it's something of a... It's based on the Intellivision original library game Shark, which it does have a lot of resemblance to, but they're not quite the same. So it's not quite an Atari VCS 2600 homebrew port of Shark, but it's about the closest thing we've gotten, and it's pretty good. Here is the cartridge. Pretty nice. You can see down here where it talks about for one or two players. For use with joystick controllers, we have Atari Age over here. Copyright 2005, Bob Montgomery. And up here it mentions the Atari Box Enhanced feature. Up in that top left corner. Or top right corner. Well, depending on which way you're looking at it. Here is the game manual. Same deal pretty much, except it says game manual on it. And, not bad at all. Inside we have a little note about safety and how to use things properly to start with. Then a table of contents. Then, of course, it goes over eat or beaten, which is the concept here. You're a small fish starting out trying to eat other fish that are smaller or small enough and grow larger while surviving to do it. And then it tells us down a bit below about the gameplay. Then using the controllers and console controls over here, which is pretty simple. There's as far as I've seen, there's you can turn the music off by switching the using the black and white button will switch the music on and off. I'm fine with the music, so I leave it on. And the left difficulty switch selects the starting size of the fish. Set to A to start with a larger fish, or B, novice, to start with a smaller fish. I usually go just set with B, because why not go from the beginning? And the right one is only used in two-player games. No second player here, so we're not going to worry about that. Then it talks a little bit about game variations, which pretty much that's about all there is to it. Which is basically what the left difficulty switch sets. That's the two variations. Being larger, being smaller. Not much else to it. Then, of course, it tells us about scoring and goes over some of the fish sizes, Like here, the white one, small one, which is kind of like what you start out as, is worth 1 point. Next one, these blue guys are worth 2. 4 points for the little yellow one. 7 for these red ones, 10 for these big yellow ones, and so on. Then it takes us over some dangerous creatures. This is the jellyfish, which we'll see later. And it says about the jellyfish that it secretes a poisonous fluid directly through its skin that will instantly kill anything that comes into contact with it. Next up we have this line thing, which is the electric eel, which has 6,000 volts running through his veins, which makes him deadly to the touch. And finally, we have the shark, which is the shark's sharp teeth and quick reflexes are more than a match for any ordinary fish, no matter the size. Of course, I played up to about 1,100 points from being a small fish before on, on the novice setting. And quite frankly, have yet to see a shark that I can tell you about for certain. So the sharks are obviously not quite the centrally important enemy character they would have been in the Intellivision original library game Shark. But hey, the gameplay is still a lot of the same concept and still a lot the same, you know. In most other respects. Though, like I said, this is the closest thing to an Atari VCS homebrew port of Shark Shark we have, without it really being, it's not quite. It's just the closest we've gotten so far. You must need to play a ways through the game before sharks start to become more of a big problem, so. Anyway, it talks then about the Atari box support, which you can use for listening to music, speech synthesis, and for saving high scores. Goes over next tips and hints, and then over here credits. And there's our back. Put together, it's about a 12-page manual put together, I guess you could say. Then again, yeah, about 12. Now let me get this put up. I've already talked for a good bit, and basically the fish sizes are pretty simple. I'll tell you about them in a sec. But anyway, if you have an Hyperkin Retron 77 emulation hardware clone console like I do and use a lot, this actually does work with it. I'm not sure if it's a 4K, 8K size game ROM or what, but it does play with it as well as with original hardware, so that's good to know for those who are using one of these. We're using one of these alternating with original hardware. Kind of like I do, except for my original hardware is the Atari 7800 and the Mattel Intellivision system changer for my Mattel Intellivision too, so. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get set with my Hyperkin Retron 77. We're going to take a look into some gameplay. Okay, so here we go. One player. I've got it set to give us a small fish to start with. Hold on, my controller is not going to be terribly responsive at the moment. There we go. Okay, these little small whitefish are your first ones, as we saw in the manual. They are worth 1 point apiece. And the first size, to get to the first size, you have to eat about 5 points. There we go. Next size comes at about 19 points. Those are the jellyfish. Now, unlike in Shark Shark, these reeds don't have crabs or lobsters down there, so you can use that area to catch a bit of a break and hide from everything. You may also notice that you don't have squid, which is kind of what the jellyfish are similar to, I guess, in a way. Those are them in the pink. And you don't have seahorses. So, there's a bit here that does not correspond well to Shark Shark, but like I said, this is a loosely inspired by and based on Shark Shark, though it's not quite Shark Shark. Now we can eat the bigger yellow ones. And our next size comes, if I'm not mistaken, at about 55 points. Then after that, you don't really have much idea. By keeping an eye on it myself over time, I think I found out that it's like around 165 that you get to the next one after that. Sometimes it does take a while to get up to your next size, but could be worse. Again, I played to about 1100 points and still haven't seen a shark, which they should be in black, so it should be obvious that he's not quite the most prominent, or nearly the prominent central enemy character that the shark would have been in Shark. And I know for some that's been a kind of a complaint, you know. But so what, this game is still pretty good. It's kind of relaxing and all at first. When you're still a smaller fish, you can dart around pretty easy without too much risk and hazard. Then you learn to kind of loiter like this here, you know, just sticking around one spot, not moving too much. And it does have a certain degree of skill. And just like Shark on the Intellivision would have been, your whole thing is about eating enough to become a bigger fish and survive better. It's all about eat or be eaten. Also, kind of like in Shark, you want to be careful about sticking around the side areas too much. You don't have to worry as much about a shark coming out to get you from there, but you do have to kind of worry about something bigger than you coming through while you're sitting there. So if you're not chilling down by the reeds, it's usually better to avoid being around the sides too much and stick it out more towards the center. Geez, how long do I really have to wait for one more dadgum point? Come on. Well, that'll do right there, I guess. Now I'm big enough I can eat the big red guys. Well, they're not that big, but you know. And that's another thing. Some of the fish's behavior will change over time. The smaller ones that are, say, more than a two or... Usually if they're like more than 2 or 3 sizes smaller than you, they'll get scared and run away from your now fairly large fish. So it actually talks about in the game manual about how that the fish behavior will change some given time. And that's part of what it's talking about. Yep, while you're still fairly small, darting around and getting what you like is pretty simple. But as you get larger, you have to learn to be more of a loiterer and slow things down a bit so that you don't end up running headlong into something or somebody you don't need to. I mean, take a look at some of these fish coming out here now. Look like they might as well be whale size compared to me. Of course, now we can eat the big yellow. That big yellow anyway. No, in 165. Maybe it's 265 I was thinking of that's for the next size after this, I forget. So sue me, I can't remember everything. Yep, even these guys will get scared and run off. Suits me just fine, of course. You can still get them by ambushing them if you get them before they see you coming. Like right there. I got him because he had no idea I was there. Come, snack. Right here I can get simply because he didn't want to turn my way. That's another thing you gotta do is make these little judgment calls like that. One big yellow I could have possibly gotten up there. Might have been a good idea, but to get to him would have taken me a bit of a hassle to get through all that. Sometimes you just have to learn to wait and be patient. Kind of like life teaches you about some things. Again, right there, ambush. Get them while they don't know you're coming. And that was just enough for me to turn to this size, huh? Now he's too scared to come at me. Whoa. Big gray right there is the ones like what I've turned into now. Eat. Yes, eat. Come on, we're hungry. This is kind of what I was talking about too, though. As you get to be some of these larger sizes, there we go. Now I can eat him. But of course, as your size increases, so does the chance of having a bad collision you don't want. That right there, I think I just narrowly avoided running headlong into that guy. Okay, now where is my next size? Don't know for sure. Oh, no you don't. No eel attack is taking me out this time. Had that happen a bit before. Not pretty. Let's just say this, at very least. Death by 10,000 volts is not one that you want to do. Now we can get him. Ha! Even he's scared of me now. Oh well. Oh, and there we go. That's the end of that. I think you guys have seen pretty well enough of gameplay for now. Okay, so that was Go Fish, a homebrew game for the Atari VCS 2600, and which, again, also will play with your Hyperkin Retron 77 emulation hardware clone console if you happen to be using that. Like I said, pretty good. Again, I can understand the looking at it as though not having the shark being very prominent, or when they do show up, you know, just being another enemy, kind of is a downer in a way. Yeah, it would be. But again, this is inspired by and somewhat adapted from the Intellivision original library game Shark, so we shouldn't expect it to be all the same. As for being the closest thing to an Atari VCS 2600 homebrew port of Shark that we've gotten before, I think it pretty well hits the mark in terms of it is pretty well in the same spirit and very. You could almost mistake them for the same game, if not for the difference in the role the Shark plays and the few different enemies being the main ones. It otherwise plays and looks a lot like Shark would have. Anyway, I like it. I have a few recommendations and links for you guys on this one. One is Vizzed gameplay videos. Then there's Zero Page Homebrew. They review it and play it along with a few others. Then there's Greg Dag Games. He does a high scoring one. I think it's like 40-some minutes or so it's a bit long, but if you enjoy high scoring gameplay, that's a good one to take a look into. Pets' Gym 1 has one. And then my friend Chris, with his channel, the Atari Creep, had played this a while back. And of course, there's the video from Atari Age themselves, back around the time this was released. It's still around. In fact, I watched it not long ago. So there are your recommendations and links. I think that Mr. Bob Montgomery, Tommy Montgomery, and Mr. Albert Russo and the team at the Atari store that helped to get this, developed and published and put together did a very nice job. So 2005 game or not, excellent work. Could have been better in some ways, but well, we got it in bad. Let me see. A big shout out to my Atari 2600 Facebook group. Love you guys over there, as well as my new Facebook group, All Things Atari and Then Some. Love you guys too. Just joined up recently, and hopefully you guys will enjoy some content coming in too when I have it. With Atari VCS 2600 and maybe Atari 7800, that can be pretty often, so. Not super often, but some. Anyway, if you guys enjoy my channel's content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And please don't hesitate to leave any questions, comments, or suggestions down in the comment section below. You guys take care. Have a wonderful Sunday morning. Don't forget I have the Atari 7800 original library review coming up on Wednesday, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And I will see you guys again on Wednesday.